It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. From Bantha Tracks TV, this is Good Morning Tatooine!
Good morning, Tatooine. Indeed, we're back after a very long, or what it feels like a very long summer vacation, but we're back and we're ready to talk Star Wars news again. There's nothing been happening in the world of Star Wars that we've missed over the summer, I'm sure. Nobody's been doing anything unusual. Anyway, let's get on with the news for the week. Coming up on the show, Cobb Vanth could be making a return. We'll be discussing that. Star Wars Jedi Survivors potentially coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny's been out. We'll be looking at the box office disappointment for that. Regal Robot's got new Indiana Jones items out. We'll check all them out. Everybody's on strike, the writers and the actors. Bog Iger's been making comments, and we'll be seeing what something stupid he said this week. Saying stupid things, Damon Lindelof has been throwing jabs at Disney as well. As he's been talking about striking in the Star Wars movie he was involved in writing. Last but not least, we're back just in time to talk Ahsoka, coming in less than 2 weeks' time, 10 days is it, I think. And we'll be looking at the new character posters for the show, when the episodes drop, and we'll also be checking out one of the TV spots. Trick that came out. Joining me to discuss that and much, much more from FantaTracks.com, Mr. Paul Naylor.
Hello, sir. Hello.
How are you, Paul?
I'm very well, thank you, Brian. Good to be back.
It is good to be back. What have you been up to? Lots of exciting things.
Blimey. Was it last weekend I went down to Boarding Bridge, the farthest from?
Feels
last
like
weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
So
a
that was
podcast
pretty
dropped, I'm sure.
Yes,
Start your
it
engines.
did, yeah. Yes, Start Your Engines. We recorded an episode while we were there. We just did a mini one, but it was the Sandcrawler. So yeah, check that out, folks. That was real good fun. And I've been all over the place. Every Saturday in July, I had something to do. So this weekend has actually been a proper weekend for a change. Doing nothing. Been great. So been pretty busy, and work-wise, plenty of editing and stuff going on. So all good fun. Yeah.
Excellent. Lots of Star Wars to talk about. It's been a long summer, and but a relatively quiet summer. It's been an Indiana Jones-led summer. We'll be talking about that a little bit later in the show.
We will.
But we're going to start by talking Book of Boba Fett, of all things. And Cobb Vanth, do you think he's going to make a return? Last time we saw him was in the Book of Boba Fett. Or was it The Mandalorian? Could well have been It was the extra scene at the very end of the Book of Boba Fett, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. He was on his way to a Bacta tank, wasn't he? Well, in fact, he was in it, I think.
Yeah.
So yes, he should make a good recovery because Bacta seems to heal everything these days. Brilliant. But yeah, I'd love to see Cobb Vanth back in something. I'd like to think this much talks about almost Avengers type film that they're going to make that'll bring the whole Mandiverse together. I'd like to think that he would play some significant role in that. I just think that episode where we're first introduced him, which we've got still on the screen of at the moment, it was
Yeah,
one of the best Mandalorian episodes anyway. But yeah, Timothy Oliphant was just absolutely fantastic in that role. Um, and for anybody that's done any visiting to Celebration or even to some of the UK events, he's become quite a cosplay favourite. I've seen two or three really good Cobb Vanth cosplays. Yeah, really cool character, and yes, please, let's see some more.
yeah. He's kind of, he fully admits he's only done 2 episodes, but big impact off of that in terms of fan reaction.
Yeah,
Seems to like it. He's got some toys out there as well, and
yeah,
makes a very positive comment that all they have to do is give him a call, whether it's something big or something small. He's kind of up for it, so that's a very positive, I think.
definitely, definitely. I mean, the fact that he was in the you know the gun shooting scene with Cad Bane, that was brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. So very popular character. I think people want to see back.
Yeah,
So it's very positive. We're getting that kind of comment from them.
definitely.
Continuing the theme of popular news, I think Star Wars Jedi Survivor proven to be a very successful and positive sequel to the Jedi franchise that EA are building on next gen consoles, and they've kind of confirmed that they're going to be bringing Jedi Survivor experience to PS4 and Xbox One, and as they say themselves, they're going to capitalize on the Star Wars fans' passion for it. I haven't yet played the game. I'm going to be starting live streaming on a Thursday night some Star Wars gaming, and I'm going to pick up Jedi Survivor for the first time and play it live and humiliate myself
Excellent,
live to the world.
excellent.
And but yeah, I think there was initial criticism that the game perhaps wasn't precisely ready for most systems on day one release, but they've released a lot of patches in a
Yeah.
very short period of time. I think got it to a level where people are happy.
I think it was inevitable it would end up on the other platforms, but yeah, it would certainly have been a major selling point. Was it PS5 that it was launched on?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would certainly be a major selling point for that console. I mean, funnily enough, in front of me here on my desk, there he is. There's old Cal Kestis, the man himself. Um,
And
and again,
he's been teased in Star Wars TV as well. They've kind of had little links
yeah,
to that world. It's not impossible that he shows up at some point.
which would be brilliant. I mean, the fact that we're able to in live action pull characters from animation and now video games. Creatively, that's got to be stimulating for these people to get involved at whatever level.
Yeah.
Thinking, well, you never know. Play my cards right. I could end up on TV. So
Anakin
yeah,
Crispin saying there in the comments that he bought a new Xbox just to play the game. I did the same. I've bought a PS5, and then the news comes out they're doing PS4, and I'm going to sell my PS4 and fund the purchase of the PS5. I think.
so yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was Xbox it came out on, wasn't it?
Xbox and PS5, so the next gen
Yeah, yeah,
consoles.
yeah, yeah.
Even though they've been out a few years, people are now finally able to get their hands on them. I think is
When are they bringing it out for the NES? I'll get it then.
yeah, you go for that. That'll be good. I'll eventually maybe come down there. It's actually, I think it's going to be a big challenge for them to bring it to PS4 and Xbox One, to be honest, because it's a pretty powerful game. It's really pushed the limits of the system, so
Yeah,
the next gen system. So it'll be interesting. I
yeah.
thought it was interesting the comment. I'll bring it back up on the screen. In fact, we are committed to bringing this Jedi experience to PS4 and Xbox One. So it's kind of like we're not bringing the game, we're bringing the experience. So I imagine there's going to be elements that are going to have to be adjusted appropriately for what the systems can cope
I'm,
with.
I'm I'm guessing this comes down to the economy and the fact that people haven't invested in the next gen consoles as much
Yeah.
as perhaps they would have liked. So to shift some units of software, they're retrofitting it to earlier models. But
As
yeah,
someone new to the system, what I've noticed, obviously it's been in short supply until recently.
yeah,
Even when this game came out, there was a bit of a little waiting list on Amazon. I ordered it through, and
yeah,
They always get
Yeah,
their money. And
there's been a
I had to
massive
go on a
waiting
waiting list for it, and I did get it before release. I just haven't had time to play the game. And
Yeah.
but I've noticed there's not many PS5 exclusive games, for example. And
No.
most of the games that are getting released are being released for PS5 and PS4. So obviously the game manufacturers are still at this point where we're trying to cover all bases so we can get a lot of sales with the platform.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily so tied into PlayStation that we're going to make it PlayStation 5 exclusive. They're not getting maybe necessarily kickback from Sony to do that. So I think it's been a slow burn to upgrade.
Definitely. It's been a slow burn to upgrade. The economy, one thing, but then of course, then the lack of availability of components to build the machines as well. So it makes sense that to make some money, you want to sell some copies of the game. So you get it on your earlier consoles. Yeah, it's a smart move and it's the right thing to do. But I'm like you. I've not actually played the game. My son's got it, and I've seen him play it, but I've not actually played it. So yeah, I'll have to give it a go.
Give it a go.
I'm,
I'll challenge
I'm
you.
rubbish at gaming.
I'll challenge
Well,
you.
yeah, that's going to be the most comical buddy up on video games ever because we're both going to be rubbish at this.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's do it.
Mr. Newbold in the comments there, he's glad it's coming to PS4 especially because he's looking forward to getting it for his system. And Anakin Cressman as well, he's supporting the game coming to more platforms so more people can play it. And you can't get better praise than this, I think, as well. He also says he thinks it might be his favourite game of all time, so there you go, no better endorsement than that. Talking of endorsements, Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny kind of needs some kind of endorsement to
it really does, doesn't it?
Make things happen. It looks like it's going to fade out of cinema. Came out June 30th, and we're kind of here in August. It's kind of going to disappear in the next few days, I would suggest. Domestic total only 170 million. Well, let's not go say 170,000, 170 million in the US. International market slightly better at 198 million. But a take of 368 million from, I think, rumoured spend of 300 million. Barely cutting a profit when you consider the marketing and all that that's gone into it. It's been a flop. I don't think there's any other way to describe it than that. And regardless of people's feelings for the actual content of the film, it just has not worked for Disney.
It's a weird one because, like, everybody that I spoke to that had seen it before I did, not one of them said it's rubbish. Everybody seemed to really enjoy it. So I went along, watched it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a brilliant. It was way, way better than the fourth film. So yeah, I really don't understand the negativity that's gone towards that film.
Yeah. Just harking back on the previous story, just briefly, Mr. Newbold suggesting an Atari 2600, that's how you pronounce it, Atari 2600. I don't know how you pronounce that. I'm too young. Version, please, of the game. All I can say to that appropriately is that belongs in a museum. But yeah, I went to Indiana Jones. I took my dad because my dad took me to see Indiana Jones when I was a kid. So I thought, let's take my dad.
Full circle.
He loved it, absolutely loved it in his late 70s. Disappointed that he hadn't been to the cinema in 30 years. Disappointed there's no longer a halftime break and a woman coming around with ice cream. But other than that, the experience was good for him. I'm kind of agreeing with him. What happened to the ice cream breaks?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, why did we let that go? Spend half an hour on videos telling us to switch our mobiles off, where you could have spent that time getting an ice cream.
Exactly.
I loved the film. There was bits of it I didn't enjoy, like any film, but I thought it was a proper Indiana Jones outing. I thought Harrison Ford was great. And buzzing going on there.
That's right.
I thought Harrison was fantastic in it. I thought the ending was a little bit slow. That would be my sort of main criticism for it. The whole segment after he's sort of travelled back in time. We can spoil it now. If, but when he comes back to the present timeline, I thought that ending was a little bit slow. But other than that, I loved it. I thought it was really good. It's had this whole criticism that comes with every film now of being woke. I think people use this term. Never quite really understand what they think it's supposed to be. But I don't think there's anything wrong with the film. It was a great story. Lots of features from previous Indiana Jones.
I thought it was reasonably strong. I don't see why it's got the backlash that it has. It was interesting because, my thoughts on The Last Jedi, right? If ever anybody bigs that film up, I'm straight on it online. Now, I said that, yeah, I've been seeing Indiana Jones. I quite liked it. I thought it was very good. Wow, the amount of comments that I got was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I ignored it all. I just sat back and watched it and laughed. But it was like 300 odd comments. If I got that amount for any work stuff I did, I'd be chuffed.
Yeah, there seemed to be a whole sort of group of people out there just dying to criticise it, and I wonder, clearly by the box office take, not many of them went to see it.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
But yeah, disappointing. I think it's going to have a big impact on Lucasfilm, because really, if you're the Disney executive and you're looking at what Lucasfilm are doing, is that the end of Lucasfilm doing anything other than Star Wars, having given the performance of Indy 5, having given the performance of Willow, that's now reviewed from Disney Plus as well?
Willow was just they used that as a tax write-off in the end, I think, didn't they? So Willow's disappeared. Yeah, I did see something. Somebody had put like a freeze together of the Lucasfilm basically being trashed because of Indiana Jones, Willow, and Star Wars' recent performances. But I don't know. I don't know what the answer is really. I think there's a lot of people out there, our generation, right, that are still into the good old days of Star Wars. And whether it's a big kickback to that, and those same people are kicking back against Willow and Indiana Jones and just want things the way they used to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with Lucasfilm.
I don't see what's different between Indy 5 and any of the previous Indy films, to be honest, in terms of
Neither do I.
In terms of plot, in terms of characters, and yeah, I don't see where the criticism's coming from.
No, really. I mean, I can understand Willow failing from what I saw. I saw the first 2 episodes of Willow, and I know Warwick wasn't very well at the time, so his acting was appalling. But the script as well, that was a very woke script, and I think there was a lot of kickback because of that as well.
For that, I kind of enjoyed Willow for what it was, but it was deliberately aimed at the teenage market, which I think was a hard sell, because the teenage market have got no idea what Willow the film was. But
exactly,
I totally got them targeting that market, because, to be honest, we're not necessarily the target market for building up a franchise now. You've kind of got to target the teen market and start afresh. And I think they had long-term ambitions for Willow.
You hit the nail on the head there. They should start afresh. So it should be a fresh set of characters. I think they
kind of did that. Where Willow, it was titled Willow, but he wasn't necessarily the title.
He was like a character star in his own series. Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought some of the acting in it, Warwick accepted, was fantastic. But even Warwick's acting, I kind of appreciated the fact that he wasn't having a good time, and it became a kind of a funny little thing with some of the scenes, and you just think, hey, how did that get through the cut? But yeah, I enjoyed it, and we'll see. I don't know. I feel that Lucasfilm's now the Star Wars outlet, and that's it.
Yeah, possibly.
I just think if there was an idea originating out of someone at Lucasfilm, it's not going to get rejected, but I think it's going to get passed on to the Disney brand and dealt as a Disney IP in the future. I think Willow's done. I don't see it coming back. And I don't know how you resurrect Indiana Jones. If Indiana Jones had done £1 billion, I don't still don't know how you would continue it.
Well,
Because it
the
is
easiest thing.
Harrison. Beyond a
Yeah, but
short round the series, I don't have something that works for me.
to get some sort of momentum behind Indiana Jones again, they're missing a trick by in the UK. We haven't had the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. I
No.
was over in the States in May when they launched it in America. And it was great to see some of those episodes again and to see them in decent quality because, like, obviously, when I'd seen them, crappy VHS or whatever it was that I watched it on, to see it, on a decent streaming service, it was brilliant.
It's
That
licensing
really
issues,
should
I
be on
think.
Disney. Is that
Licensing
what it is?
issues,
Yeah,
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 afraid so. I
yeah.
can't remember what
Damn.
service it's on, but it is available in the UK. I think it might be on Amazon Prime.
Oh,
But
is it?
it's
Oh,
not
okay.
the cuts on Disney Plus. Disney Plus cuts are slightly ever so different. This will be the third iteration of Young Indiana Jones, if you're like me.
Yeah.
There's various cuts that they've kind of gone back to almost the original presentations of them.
Have they kept
So
the
so
eye
you
patched Indiana Jones?
so you've kind of got the bookends that went missing the
Yeah,
second time round
yeah,
the series came out. So
yeah.
you have Harrison popping up. You have old Indy in his 90s still kicking it.
Oh,
So yeah,
Old Indy with the eye patch. Oh dear. Yeah.
but how did he lose the eye? There you go. That could have been in the film. Talking of Indy, we won't quite move off the subject yet. New products coming from Regal Robot out on the 15th, and we can check them out. You can get a little golden idol and pedestal magnet set. Don't
Nice.
anyone comes out your house and lifts it up, you've got to crush them with a giant stone. Uh, $40, which I think is kind of a reasonable price point for something of
Yeah.
this kind of development. What I would love, however, next to my front door, is a temple top wall decor. I don't know if you can put them outside. If you could put them outside, that would be the most awesome garden ornament, I think. It's cast in resin, so I don't know. I don't think you could put it outside and expect it to survive. But
Is that
yeah,
the one that you can fire? You can fire arrows out of
you
that,
could
can you?
fire arrows at the postman from it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, or UPS drivers who are now getting paid $170,000 a year. What's that about, people?
What?
Anyone in America, explain that to me.
What?
Yeah.
They're driving it up.
Yep.
Good grief.
We're in the wrong jobs.
We are.
What else have we got? Little Grail tablet. Lovely little Grail tablet there. I bagged it. That
That's
one for your
fine.
fridge. You only get the other half. You get go and hook up with a Nazi lady to find the other half. It's a challenge, especially now we're out of the EU and you can't travel freely to as much to Europe. So there you go.
It's certainly smaller than I thought it would be.
Yeah. And last, the magnet set, temple trap, and
Yeah.
torch as well. And yeah, so nice little things from Regal
Yeah.
Robot. They do amazing stuff. They really do.
Yeah. Kind of cute.
And Mr. Newbuild there saying animated indie is the way to go. Very possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
has it captured young people's interest? Kind of feels like it hasn't.
Yeah. There is that issue.
Yeah.
Why should the kids have all the fun anyway?
That's very true. So if you were to buy one of those items, what one would you go for?
Oh, it's got to be the little golden idol, hasn't it?
Yeah,
That looked great
definitely.
on the bookcase.
Definitely. Little golden idol, or if you could put the giant temple trap, I would have that outside.
Yeah. Every time the Ring doorbell went.
Absolutely. The neighbour's cat, whack.
Oh yeah. Oh please. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
As much as Mr. Newbuild in the comments there is calling for an animated indie, I doubt anyone's working on it. Anyone's working on it at the moment because we're in the middle of a writer's strike. And
Yeah.
Bob Iger's been making some well-timed, brilliant comments on it, in various interviews that he's been doing. Primarily right before the day before the actors strike, he went on a real riot as they announced his new megabucks deal to stay on till the end of 2026. Perfect timing to have a dig about what other people are getting paid and saying they're getting paid too much. Bob, man, timing. It's all about timing. What's happened? I read your book, Bob. You should take a read of some of the chapters again and take your own advice. But let's see what he's been saying this past week. Nothing is more important to this company than its relationship with the creative community. So, it's important to have relationships with the writers and the actors. Let's not have digs about whether they're worth their money or not. He makes reference to animators, directors, and producers of, well, of course, a deal was struck with the Directors Guild, which is not uncommon in this situation. They always seem to do okay, the negotiations with the directors. It always generally happens to the writers. Unusual that it happens to actors on much rarer occasion. So, yeah, interesting comments that he's included directors and producers in there. He makes comment that he's got deep respect and appreciation of how vital they are to the extraordinary creative engine, I think that's supposed to be. Mr. Newbody can't type. That drives his company and our industry. It's my fervent hope that we can quickly find solutions to the issues that have kept us apart these past few months. I'm personally committed to working towards this result. So much in that's not true. Bob Iger's job is, as a director of any public listed company, is to enhance shareholder value. That is his one and only goal. It's not about creating good content at all. You can say the two go hand in hand, but he is there to create profits, drive dividends and shareholder value. And Disney shares are at $86 at the moment. At its peak, it was at $200. There would be no talk of Disney being sold to Apple, as the rumours always come around at this point in time, if Disney stock was anywhere near the $200 price point. And you're not going to be selling when the share price is at $86. You're going to have to at least be at double that before Disney shareholders are going to be remotely interested in selling up. So there's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on. I think, as a company, and this applies to all the streamers, most of them are probably happy that the industry's kind of shut down at this point in time, because they're all on cost-cutting measures, and they've got the perfect excuse that they're not having to renew series. They'll have the perfect excuse to cancel series altogether. They're making huge cost savings at this point in time without having to upset anyone, because everyone else is doing the work for them. And it'll be interesting as to how things reset. I know they're already talking about, the industry will stay shut till September. And it's effectively a choice, because the studios have a choice to negotiate on these things. And at this point in time, they're really not showing that much interest. And I'm now putting out little comments like this to try and let's kickstart negotiations again. But they're not serious at this point in time, it doesn't feel. So I think you could be looking negotiations restart in September and reach a positive conclusion quite quick. Once all these studios have saved the money they want to save, I think Discovery kind of made that comment as well, that they'd saved $100 million, and they saw that as kind of a positive. So I don't know what your take is.
A penny saved is a penny earned, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd heard some sort of rumblings that this could go on for months and months and months yet.
Getting a comment there from Mr. McHugh, liking the fashion nods to Barbenheimer. this is my Roosevelt's.
Oh, you can see it now, yeah.
I rock pink. I rock pink. I'm fine. I'm comfortable wearing pink. I don't need Barbie to humiliate me.
I've not seen that one yet either.
Comment on YouTube there that Iger's gone from a great guy to a toxic rooks person in such a short time. Yep, I can see that. But he's always been a rich person. It's judging the public comments. The man is very intelligent, knows what comments to make when, and I think he deliberately infuriated the situation just before the strike was announced, to show the writers and the actors how serious he was to let's keep them on strike for a significant period of time, because he's not losing money personally at this point in time. Big chunk of his annual pay is bonus related. So yep, it's going to be based off of profits. But Disney's having a hard time of it across the board at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's looking to save money, so it kind of probably suits him. So for him to play the bad guy, he knows what he's doing, I think.
What Star Wars series and films has it impacted? I mean, obviously Ahsoka was in the can, that's sorted.
So it kind of impacted Andor, and that
Yeah.
obviously the showrunner kind of had to walk away. They were able to continue some shooting because it was being shot in the UK, and a lot of the actors were with equity rather than SAG. But I think they reached a point where they had to close. I think they are closed now. I think that's confirmed.
Yeah.
Acolyte was in the can.
Yeah, the Skeleton Crew's slightly affected, was it?
Yeah, there's rumours, because it wasn't on the slate of upcoming shows for Disney Plus, rumours that Skeleton Crew's been pushed back. I think that's probably been more a choice to spread out content. They've been open that they're going to be making a lot less. So I think that's probably more Disney Plus as it suits them to release content, because they don't want to be doubling up in content. If you're making a lot less, you kind of need to space it out more. So that kind of doesn't feel like that's probably strike related. And obviously promotions for Ahsoka has been affected. Obviously everyone's seen this coming for some time, so there's been some degree of preparation for it, and everyone knew the dates that would happen. So you've obviously got new movies in development as well. Technically, the writers shouldn't be writing on a studio piece. If you're a writer, would you carry on? I don't know.
Well, you could carry on at home and not just
you
don't
carry
release
on
it.
and just not have communication with the studio on it, but you could still crack out a script or two. I'm sure lots of writers out there are writing pilots for shows. No harm in that, because the problem is don't discuss it with a studio. But they could be lining up dozens of projects to pitch. So if you're a writer on it, interesting whether you'll be continuing your work. On YouTube, we're getting a comment there. Syax, we can't afford paid residuals to actors. 5 minutes later, oh, by the way, give us more money for Disney Plus, please. Yeah, Disney Plus subscriptions going to be going up. It's going to be ad revenue driven as well. The whole issue of residuals is a complicated one. I've done a lot of work and residuals over the years, and you compare a network TV where you were getting 20 million viewers to streaming services where the number of viewers is significantly less, and you don't know, because it's not coming out on a schedule, you don't get one evening where an episode of a show is getting 20 million viewers. So you know, the viewers can be spread out over months and years, and before someone discovers a show, and then they may watch it in bulk, and so I get why residuals are a lot less, because if people are on different streaming platforms, your viewing numbers are a lot less. So if you're getting a percentage based on hitting certain targets, you don't have the same reach that you did when your show was on a network. It's a mess, there's no doubt. You've got issues like, for example, Netflix, who aren't producing their own content but they're buying it, will buy the content from a studio, and Netflix don't pay residuals. It's up to the studio to pay the residuals. So it depends on how much that studio has sold the show to Netflix for, as to whether that studio can afford to pay residuals at a particularly high rate. So the whole issue is complicated. Is the solution you pay more people for the initial work? Or do you have fixed fees for hitting certain targets that are agreed up front? But I just think the whole residual model is broken. I think something significant has to change on it to make it workable anymore.
Well, that has been sort of spoken of, hasn't it? That the fact that this is likely to change things going forward, and how it used to operate prior to the strikes is not likely to be the way it's going to be going forward.
You've also got an issue now where the streamers have realised that we can't just be a library of content, because it then becomes punishable for us for how much residuals we're having to pay out because people are discovering shows going back many seasons and years ago, and having to pay out quite high residuals on them due to the contracts on them. So they'd rather take the content off their libraries, and you're seeing that happen. So like The Simpsons were out there on a streaming service before Disney Plus. They would only put out so many seasons. So people couldn't be watching historical, really old seasons all the time. So they were limiting what people could get access to. In the same way it's happened before streaming services with Monty Python on the BBC. You don't get Monty Python on the BBC anymore because the residual rate's too high. So the BBC sells it to Dave or Comedy Central or whatever other channel who don't have to pay that level of residual. So it's not something new to the industry. I think the streaming services have just highlighted this pretty serious problem where if the likes of Netflix aren't the ones creating the shows and they're not the ones paying the residual, it's complicated.
I suppose in terms of trying to equate it to something else, it's a bit like how the music charts these days aren't based on record sales, based on people listening to it, which would have been completely sort of nonsense to us when we were growing up. It's a shame that they can't find some way of sorting it out so that we can get some decent content. The thing that worries me most that you've said in the last few minutes, and I was already aware of it, is the fact that they've announced that they're going to be producing way less content. Because
and I think
all the Star Wars has been good.
This is the biggest problem, I think, when you break it down and you look at the numbers. Basically, what the actors and writers are saying is we're not earning enough in a 12-month calendar period to continue to be writers or actors in full-time profession, and that's the bottom line. You can argue to the blue in the face about what your residual rate is. What people care about is what's the size of the check. That's the reality. So it's not so necessarily the makeup of it. It's what we're getting paid. And the biggest problem, really, as I see it, as someone that's had to do residual calculations for many talents over the years, is you've moved from a 22 episode series to like an 8 episode or 6 episode series. So if you book one job a year, you've no longer got even the remote potential to earn what you did previously. You might get a nice sizable fee, but you're only working for 3-4 months of the year. You're not working for 8-9 months. And so your residual is going to be less because there's only 6 episodes to earn from instead of 22. So that is a huge impact because, and especially with the way that TV works, for example, and everything's getting filmed at the same time of the year or getting booked at the same time of the year. You can't take job A because you've signed up to job B. You don't know what months are going to be filming. So it's difficult to book 2 jobs. And so there needs to be an industry change there in terms of that allows writers to work on multiple projects, that allows actors to work on multiple projects and be comfortable to know I can go after that show, I can go after this show. Instead of, all the shows getting pitched at the same time of year for the studios to decide what's getting picked up and then deciding later what's getting filmed when. It's really complicated. And there's not an easy solution because you're not going to go back to getting 22 episode series anymore. It's just not going to happen. It's not, the value's not there for the streamers. The streamers are wanting people to subscribe to the service. That's how they make money. And they want to retain people to the service, so they need this constant new content. And if you put out a 22 episode series, you're only going to get so many people subscribed to it and stick around for it. It's the constant new content that you need to keep attracting, to be able to keep promoting it. Can you really promote a show for a whole 22-week run? Or is it a lot easier to have promoted 3 different shows over that kind of same time period? It's just...
It's an interesting thing, but I suppose in the UK we were only ever really used to series being 6-7 episodes anyway, weren't we?
Yeah, in the UK, and this is, I think, why you don't have equity in the same kind of issue as Saga in America, and that we've never done like 22 episode series or anything. You know, you can look at like all the classic British series. It's all short run series, and that's all because
Pretty much
that's
6 episodes. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And especially with filming in the UK, it's a constant round the clock 12-month kind of thing. There's not this same windows in terms of securing deals that you see in America, where everyone's kind of pitched at the same kind of time of year to be picked up. We don't have that in America. It's just in the UK. Sorry, it's a constant cycle of pitching shows to BBC or ITV or whoever.
Yeah.
So I don't see an easy solution to this, because they could go to the writers and the actors and say, we'll double your residual payments, but that's not gonna double people's income or make their income sustainable for the year still.
No, I suppose. Excuse me. One of the things that happened, like with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, where to bolster Ewan's earnings, he got an exec producer credit. Is that something that they could look at doing in a similar sort of way with some of these stars to try and sort of
I
placate them?
think it will, but I guess the problem really is it's not at the star end of the market where the problem is.
No,
It's
but I mean, scalably, so even if
yeah.
it's somebody that's got a minor role in it, they also get the credit for something else or whatever,
It kind of feels there needs to be a new model rather than residuals as to how you pay people, and it's
Yeah,
got to be success based.
yeah,
There has to be clear, measurable markers, and I think this is the other problem with streamers, in that the viewers aren't recorded in the same way as traditional linear TV's been recorded, and it's all about what's the viewers, where are we getting the data from, is it reliable? You're kind of, and this is the problem, and again it comes back to if the streamer's not producing the content, then they're not liable to the residual. It all becomes a mess that, if someone in an extremely successful show can get a really poor residual because the deal struck with the studio at the time that they made it.
yeah, yeah.
So, there's no liability on Netflix to pay a residual whether a show is successful or not. They've agreed a fee to pay for that show, and that's the deal done. It's it gets more tricky when you get into the likes of Disney, where they're not only creating the show, making the show, but they're also airing it on their own networks.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the solution is going to be. It's going to be interesting to see where they get to. I can completely see them coming to agreement on anything to do with the AI. Seems to be the in-thing problem they've got. All that things can be worked out and resolved very easily and very quickly.
Yeah.
The whole issue of how the industry works, and how these people are able to earn a living, I don't know where the solution is. I really don't. And the back kind of falls back on us as well, because we all wanted to be free of cable and not having to pay 50, 60, 70 pounds a month for a TV service, and we're all just paying $6.99, $7.99. So we're paying like 10, 20% of what we did before. So if we're paying 10, 20% of what we did before, studios are paying 10, 20% of what they did before. That's how the money goes round.
Yeah, I suppose if you combine all your services together, you're going to get close to that 56 eventually.
Yeah, but the rest of the services you find you're paying more for your internet. So the likes of Comcast are doing okay because they provide that service, but you're probably paying more for your internet now than you are for your TV services.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is
We'll have to see how it pans out, but yeah, it's a tricky one.
yeah. It'll be interesting. It's going to run and run, I think. I don't know if there's going to be an easy solution for this one, and
No.
I don't know. It kind of feels like there's going to have to be a bigger payment up front on shows. But again, if it's a short run show, it's not a solution.
No.
But the other point, and I think it's an important one, that there's been $1 trillion dollars wiped off the value of all these TV and movie studios in the past year. And this is the time that people are choosing to strike to get more wages. None of these studios are doing well financially. Yeah, they're making big money and they're paying the executives big money. But in terms of where they were and where they should be and what value they are to their shareholders, none of them are in great shape. Disney, and I've been saying it for years and attacked on it for online for saying it, but Disney moved from a model where they were making really great money from their networks and selling TV shows to other networks, and moved it all and pivoted it all towards Disney Plus, where they're still making massive losses and yet to turn a profit on it.
Really?
It's a really tough model, because you've taken a segment of their business that was doing great, turned it into loss making, and now you're at the point where Bob Iger's openly talking about maybe we're going to sell our linear channels. And that's really them saying we're going to go all in Disney Plus because we have to make it work and we have to make it profitable.
Yeah.
So the industry is changing for the studios as well. It's not just something for the writers and the actors. And so I get some of Bob Iger's comments and I can appreciate where he's coming from. It is absolute shocking, terrible timing for everybody, I think.
Christ.
And
it's gonna look totally different.
Yeah, I think Mark's hit the nail on the head here. When so the AI issue seemed to be the spark that lit the flame. I think that was just an issue that happened to come round in the cycle at the right time, where everyone's discovered, AI isn't it exciting, and then everyone's kind of, it's got its potentials in various works. Everyone's going to explore it, but we've all had a shot at ChatGPT or whatever, and realised its major flaws as well. So, I don't know. AI seems to be the mask, I think, to the whole thing. It's not the core issue, but it's the issues that are probably easily resolved, which if they do start negotiations again, and if they can make momentum on things like that, then it might create a more positive environment for talks. But don't know. It's going to be odd. If we have a look at, as well, the news this week, what some of the talent are saying about it. And we can look at Damon Lindelof, most famous to people be involved in Lost, I guess, on TV. He's made a comment, had a little jibe, I think it's fair to say, at Disney, making the comment that him and Justin Britt Gibson wrote a Star Wars movie together, so picketing Disney is a lot more fun than writing that Star Wars movie. And Britt Gibson as well said that this will not be in vain. This will be done so we have a better future for writers, for actors, for everybody out there on the line. Strike the Empire back. And obviously, I think it's well documented that Damon Lindelof did not have a fun time working with Lucasfilm and Disney on it. Was pretty much at loggerheads with the chosen director for the project, and director won out. Damon Lindelof was kind of taken off the project. In February, I think it was. Then in April, they announced the movie at Celebration was going to feature Rey. And I think we've pretty much, I don't know if it's been officially announced, but we're pretty much at the point where Peaky Blinders writer is the guy that's tasked with writing the film. So you're in an odd situation where they've kicked the writer, still announced the sort of core essence of the project's going to be a Rey film before the script's written. And now you're on strike, so the script's not getting written.
Or is he?
Yeah. So, yeah, Damon Lindelof having a little bit of fun there, but I think there is undoubtedly there is an anger and bitterness as to what went down, I think. We'll never really know the whole story, but obviously loggerheads, and one person wins out and one person loses.
Always the way.
Yeah. What's your general thoughts on the state of Star Wars in terms of its TV and film?
I've pretty much enjoyed all the live action stuff. I quite like the Book of Boba Fett, which seems to be the one that people struggle with the most. the things that I don't really gravitate towards, Visions. There's been two or three of the episodes that I've really enjoyed, but for the most part, it's not really my cup of tea. But that doesn't mean it hasn't got fans. So no, you're not meant to like everything. Um, Film-wise, the best films that have come out of the Disney era, Rogue One and Solo, by a long shot, um, because they felt more Star Wars to me. Um,
Solo
I
did
have
better.
got,
Solo did better than Indiana Jones.
yeah, exactly. Um, and
Make Indiana Jones 6 happen, people. Hashtag that.
no, and I really like The Force Awakens. I just think that what they did with the characters after that was just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, hey, I'm more sort of like worried moving forward, the lack of content that we're going to get, because we're so used now to having three or four series a year that if that suddenly drops off the cliff, well, that's going to take some time to adjust to that. However, if Star Wars ended up back at the cinema, and if we went to the traditional model from when, you know, from the good old days, where there was a 3 year gap between each film, that would be fine with the older generation, but the younger generation aren't going to settle for that,
No.
especially if other franchises carry on with this sort of like, the way the Marvel universe worked, where you'd got sort of 3 films a year coming out that were all interwoven with each other, which did work, but even that seems to be coming under some fire at the moment. Um, yeah, I really don't know what the answer is, Bright, but for me, Star Wars is at its best when you play with the pool of characters from the OG, but
Yeah.
you
Here's a
can't keep
question in
doing
the
that.
comments there. What about Young Jedi Adventures? Obviously, it's back. There's a new batch of episodes.
Young Jedi Adventures, is that really sort of like aimed at
Nubs
preschool?
and Co.
Yeah, again, not really my bag, but hey,
See, I kind of agree with it. Solo and um, Rogue One was what worked for me. Enjoyed Andor.
yeah, and all
Although
very
it had
good.
its faults where it
Mm.
really started to pick on the Empire, the democratically elected Empire, point out. Had to get that in there. And I would love to see an Empire positive show.
Yes, yeah, an Empire perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Um,
so I'd like to see that. And Moff
yeah.
Gideon would be a great one. He's still alive, people, don't worry about it. He's still alive. He didn't have a moustache. We all know. We all noticed. Uh, um, he would be a great character to lead on that. Just something that was Empire centric.
Yeah.
Because they're bad people doing good. Uh, yeah, Mandalorian. I don't know what to make of it because it doesn't seem to really know what to make of itself at times. It's had some really great moments,
Yeah.
but it still seems to struggle to find an identity. I'm not sure what it is.
First
Um,
two, the first two seasons were great. The third season really lost its way. It was just a mishmash of,
yeah,
ugh. But there was
um,
some nice sort of like introduction of different characters, and seeing Ahmed Best get a decent bit of screen time was cool. But story wise and the way it ended, my God, that it was shocking, really.
yeah.
Yeah,
Obi-Wan
I,
didn't
I,
do anything for me because I didn't
I
see the purpose of it. It just went round in a circle. Fantastic
yeah,
acting from Ewan and
yeah.
uh, Vivian Lyra Blair
Little
as well.
Vivian, little Vivian, she was great. But
Yeah.
I think the thing that the Obi-Wan Kenobi series really struggled with was the overuse of the volume. Every outdoor shot looked
And I
indoor.
think when they're talking about cost cutting,
Yeah,
this is the model we're going to go to. You're going to be single stage on the volume,
yeah,
everything pre-vised, shot in front of it.
yeah,
That's the way things are going to head. You're not going to see the 200 million 12 episode series Andor anymore. It's
yeah,
going to be half that. shot in the volume. You're not going to get the grand on-location kind of stuff we're seeing with Andor. So when season 2 comes out, appreciate it. We're not going to see a return for that, I don't think.
No, it's a shame.
We've got Ahsoka to look forward to, comes from Dave Filoni. We're going to talk about that next, but we're going to see Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen back for that, it appears. So we can look forward to that. In terms of the movies, I'm not entirely enamored with the whole idea of 3 different films in 3 different eras. Let's throw the dart at the board and see what sticks kind of attitude, especially when you're announcing them before anything's written.
Yeah.
Never a good idea.
Well, you'd have thought that they'd have worked out by now that they've made so many mistakes with that one, haven't they?
Yeah.
All the different things that were announced that have never come to fruition. Hopefully this Lando series is going to happen now. That sounds like it's finally getting off the ground.
Although I feel sorry for the poor guy that wrote it. Nobody told him he'd been sacked. That was harsh, eh? That was a harsh one. Find out on Instagram. That was a strange one. But it seems in flux. There doesn't seem a creative direction. I've said it many times before that Lucasfilm needs a creative director who is taken, whether it's comics, books, film, TV, and focusing it somehow. And I think you mentioned Visions earlier, and I don't get a project like that. Lovely anime stuff, but it's just 12 individual stories that mean nothing, and just I don't get it. Just seems to be throwing content at the wall and
it's a money grab
into it. So there's a lot of work that needs to happen to improve, and in many respects, cutting budgets and limiting production is going to get people have to really focus, because you cannot make mistakes now. And I look at when Bob Iger's extended his contract to the end of 2026 because he's got problems to fix. You can't have the CEO of the company walk away when the company's on the slide down. So by the end of 2025, Disney Plus needs to be cutting a profit. So he needs people to be subscribing. And if you're cutting content, people are going to stop subscribing. Because like me, I only pay Disney by the month when there's a Star Wars program on the air. So I will subscribe for Ahsoka, and as soon as Ahsoka ends, I will cancel. And I won't renew until Mando's on the air, I guess, is going to be the next one. When's that going to be? Next Christmas? You could have a whole year without me being a subscriber. I'm the exact kind of person he needs to get buying the annual subscription. So he's got that to resolve by the end of 2025. He needs to get Disney Plus profitable, and it's hard to make something profitable. You're cutting costs and trying to keep the same number of subscribers. That's a tough one. So he's staying to the end of 2026. What's happening in 2026, people? We're getting 2 Star Wars movies, allegedly.
Yay.
Both of them are going to have to really hit the wall, make significant revenue and significant profits, because for Bob to walk away at the end of 2026, it needs to be a spectacular year where everything's on the up, everything's looking great, everybody's going, isn't Marvel doing fantastic? Isn't Star Wars doing fantastic? Look at that amazing Pixar movie that's just come out, and look at Snow White and the 7 normal-sized people. Isn't that done well? And Bob can walk away. Otherwise, Bob walks away and Disney's still on the slide, and that's a tough situation for a company to be in. So, yeah, interesting. There we go.
Vote Brian, everyone.
Yeah,
Vote Brian.
We'll come back. We'll replay this clip in a couple of years' time as Bob's leaving the company and see what's happening.
Bye-bye, Bob.
Yeah, bye-bye, Bob. But, so that takes us to the last thing, and there's a lot landing on the next show. Ahsoka, coming out 23rd of August. We've had 6 new character posters revealed, and we can kind of check them out. Hopefully, if this works. There we go. Rosario Dawson, Ray Stevenson, Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Ahsoka, Balin, and Hera. All looking impressive. All got kind of scary eyes. Ahsoka and Hera. And we also have this darker side of it, I guess. Morgan Elspeth, the character obviously we're familiar with from The Mandalorian. Sabine Wren coming to live action for the first time. with a lightsaber, which to me is odd. I don't know enough about the animated side of things, but figured she was Mandalorian and not Jedi, so interested to see where that's going to go. And Balin's apprentice, Shinhati, I think is how it's going to be pronounced. Dark side apprentice. So Balin's going to be shifting from Jedi to dark side, it appears.
Yeah. So I think in a lot of the recent clips they've pitched Sabine against her, haven't they? So it's like apprentice versus apprentice kind of thing.
Yeah. And of course, Morgan was sort of serving Grand Admiral Thrawn, who we know is going to be in the series as well. Doesn't have a character poster. I believe he only cameos towards the end of the series. But we'll find out shortly. So despite being defeated and thrown off planet, Morgan's going to be back. I can't remember the name of the planet, but it was similar to coronavirus. I'm sure it was Corvus. Corvus, I think it was.
Corvus. Yes, it was. Yes, Corvus.
Coronavirus planet.
That was where we first saw Ahsoka in live action, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was, yeah. So she's going to reappear and obviously be the enemy of the series, I think, on a day-to-day basis with Thrawn lurking in the background.
Yeah.
And Balin and Shin adding a little bit of fighting presence, I think. But I'm
looking forward to it.
I was going to say, if you're going to pick, just show the first ones again. I've lost it. There we go. Here we go. Let's go back to the first ones. If you're going to pick a character out of the way these posters are presented, who are you going to go for?
Yeah. Well, pick a character that I think is going to be a standout character in the series.
Yeah.
I'd like to think... I got a feeling Sabine's going to really be a standout character in this.
I kind of have that feeling as well. I don't know the character at all. I don't watch cartoons. But I'm impressed with the actress and the interviews that she's done, and the tiny little clips. We'll see a clip in a minute. I find her character most interesting.
Yeah. I think looking at the bits that they've shown so far, it looks like she's going to have a significant role in this, and perhaps will drive the narrative forward.
My kind of gut feeling is that she's going to become the central character when we're moving towards this Mandoverse movie coming from Dave Filoni. She's the Mandalorian that is also the Jedi, it looks to be.
Yeah, she's going to bring those two factions together properly, perhaps. But it'd be interesting to see. I'm like you. I don't really watch a lot of the animated stuff. I have watched a fair bit of Rebels. I don't remember seeing her with a lightsaber, so perhaps that was towards the end of the run, or whether that's a new thing. I don't know. Maybe somebody like Mark could tell us. Yeah, I think the fact that they're releasing 2 episodes together, which they tend to do these days, they did the same with Andor, didn't they?
Yeah.
Was it 3 episodes of Andor? No, it's 2, wasn't it?
Anakin Cressman, give me stick for calling them cartoons. They are cartoons. It's animated shows, cartoons. I haven't watched anything Disney animation since the Gummy Bears, which, if you think about it, was just a promotion for drug-taking sports.
Or for the Ewoks cartoon.
Yeah. Don't think I even watched them. There we go. Here's Anakin Cressman as well, giving us the correct information. Ezra gave her his lightsaber at the end of Rebels to hold on to. And obviously her story is she's looking for Ezra.
Yeah.
So Mr. Newbold predicting that Thrawn will turn up in the very final scene like Luke in The Force Awakens. Take the lightsaber from Sabina, throw it. And she used her lightsaber to fight another Mando in season 3. Like, see, if we were watching the we'll call it animation. If we were watching the animation, we would be clued up in these things. But this is an important thing, because I don't watch the animation stuff. Ahsoka's a hard sell for me, and they have to be able to tell the story of Ahsoka and these other characters that are all coming from the animated side in a way that I understand and appreciate them. And
I think it has been said that. Yeah, I think it has been said that you don't need to have any knowledge really.
What I find interesting is, in a lot of the promotion work for Ahsoka, and the videos and that explaining the character and so on, it has not shown any of the animated elements.
Yeah.
And I kind of find that kind of interesting. So are they trying to create this environment where people don't feel the need to have seen the animation? We've got the schedule for when the episodes are coming out.
Yeah.
August 23rd, it launches with 2 episodes. Then we're going to get an episode a week all the way through to October 4th. Press events, I think, start on the 17th of August in America. I think there's one in Germany on the 18th, in the UK 21st, I think. So we'll start maybe getting some hints as to what fans' reactions from the fan media is to the initial episodes just before it airs as well.
Do you remember when Obi-Wan came out and there was like a potted sort of history of Obi-Wan right at the start of it, where they showed episode 1, 2, and 3 content? Maybe they will use some of the animated stuff from Rebels and then bleed one of the final images that they show animated into real life footage. That could be their way around sort of seeing it down a bit. Unless they've reshot it all in using live action, and they're going to do that as the preamble, that'd be good. But I doubt that.
Grogu's the Jedi who became a Mandalorian. Grogu's going to be dead. If Thrawn's in it, then I'm assuming they're going to bring in I don't know how you pronounce it. It's been so long since I read Heir to the Empire. The Nograi. That was Thrawn's sort of alien backup buddies. You're going to eat Grogu.
Nogri, whatever they are. Yeah.
Mr. Newbold, I think you're wrong here. We've had the information already. You're saying the lightsaber's new for Sabine. You're wrong. Go back and watch season 3. Call yourself a Star Wars fan. And of course, we're getting TV spots as well as trailers all the time. One of the most recent ones, Trick, which I think I can bring up and run just now. Straight into the action, as you suggested, between the apprentices.
Yeah.
And new characters as well, not familiar to the animated series, are going to pop up in here as well. So it's going to be interesting. What's the droid called again? Bucket? Is that called Bucket?
Chopper. Little Chopper.
There we go. What one's Bucket then? So there's not one called Bucket.
I don't think so. There was another there was another trailer that I think was released yesterday.
Was there not like a series of videos called Bucket's List? What was that from? Is that from Star Wars Resistance?
Wasn't that Kenny Baker?
Oh, I don't know. No, because it was connected to an animated thing. I'm sure it was Bucket's List. It was like a YouTube series on StarWars.com. Probably connected to Star Wars Resistance. Someone out there is gonna keep me right in a minute. We're no way every Star Wars exports on this show, that's for sure. When it comes to anything animated, it's up to the viewers to fill us in.
We should be called Fly Casual.
Yeah, I can point out there's one released this evening, I think, Force. That's up on fantatracks.com as well. Saw that just as we were going live today as well. So the TV spots are coming out fast for this, so keep them coming.
So you said earlier that Ewan's likely to be in the show as well.
Did I? I don't think I'm supposed to. I believe he is. Yeah. He filmed it in the same studio at the same time. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka were crossovers, I think, at the same studio in California.
Nice.
He went round the corner and said hello to his wife-to-be at the time, I think. And I'll come and do this. And the reason I say that is because there's going to be a young Ahsoka in it. There's an actress playing a young Ahsoka. And if you're going to have a young Ahsoka, then you're going to have Anakin and you're going to have Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And do what you pretty much said. Maybe replay or see scenes from the animation in a slightly different context, slightly different direction would be interesting.
Yeah. Probably get to see the first time that she meets Anakin. Yeah.
Because
Oh,
this is the confusing thing, I think, for people that are just tuning in now. The series is, what do you mean Anakin had an apprentice? I've watched all the movies. Anakin didn't have an apprentice. And that's the problem. I think you've kind of got to address that in some way. And I realise she's been introduced in The Mandalorian to a degree, but when you start getting more in depth and people start appreciating more the nuances of the character and her history, you kind of have to explain it somehow.
Yeah. And I tell you what, it's surprising how many of these Jedi survived Order 66, isn't it?
Shockingly poor performance from the clone troopers. Poor Sido dice that paid all that money and can't even do the job. It's like I'd be going back and asking for a refund.
Definitely. Or at least a discount.
Yeah, just terrible. So many of them survived. It's just like, who's been harbouring them all? That's the thing.
Well, Jedi sympathizers.
Yeah, who are
That's the
these
series we
people?
want to watch.
It's a hokey religion. Yeah, Mr. Newbold confirming Bucket was in Resistance. See, I know my animation.
Oh yeah, I know Bucket now. Yeah, got like an X-wing pilot helmet on top of him. Yeah.
There you go.
Resistance. That was good.
I saw the debut of it in New York. Fell asleep during the episode. It was a long day, was my excuse, but yeah, it's gone down. That's gone down on record. But I didn't actually mind Resistance, to be honest. It tried to do something a little bit different, I think. I would actually like to see a fighter pilot TV show. You know, they keep going on about this Rogue Squadron film, but I actually think Rogue Squadron makes a better Adventure of the Week type TV series.
I agree. I think that would make a really decent series. Yeah. It doesn't seem right as a one-off film at all. That.
No, that's a hard sell, I think, as a movie, unless of course the movie launches the TV show. That would need some well thought out creative planning. But Ahsoka, are you looking forward to it before we wrap up the show? Because we've ran way over time because I've been ranting all the night. But
you were heavily supporting the strike action in America.
Yeah, I'm all like supporting the unions. I'm just trying to be realistic on the whole thing. I can see it from their point of view; they can't make a living. But I can see it from the studio point of view; they're losing money. It's like, who wins? I don't think anyone wins. But
it all comes down to the shareholders, doesn't it? At the end of the day, that's
pay
the
me
problem.
My dividend, people, and show me some shareholder value growth. That's and they're not seeing that shareholder value growth of $86 down from $200 at the peak.
Yeah,
not good.
No. Ahsoka. Yes, I am looking forward to Ahsoka. I think it's going to be a really good series. I do feel a bit sad about, obviously Ray passed away not long after they finished filming it. Whether or not his character, we don't know. His character might be killed off partway through the series. We don't know. But if his role is significant, and the finale of the series teeters on what happens with him, that's going to leave them with a real issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the tantalizing fact that we're likely to see Clone Wars era live action. I mean, that's going to blow the minds of loads of people that you and I know when we've been over to Celebration. People whose introduction to Star Wars was the Clone Wars. That's going to be like all their dreams come true. Have they shown the young Ahsoka? Have we seen any photos of? No. So no, it's going to be a great series. I've got big hopes for this one. From the bits that I've seen, it looks like it's going to surpass The Mandalorian for me.
Like Mr. Newbold was confirming that I did fall asleep during Resistance and adding that I was cuddling my Trumpy bear. Um, that's a long story, and it's a long story. I don't think I can even justify or excuse it.
Let's not go there tonight.
Let's
No.
not go there tonight. That's a story for another day.
Although you have got some footage of me falling asleep during a
I
panel
have.
celebration, which I haven't seen yet, but
I
I
think
can't
it's going
wait
to
to
be a
see it.
Christmas special. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
I think on that note, I'm going to
Time,
retire for the evening,
time
go to bed
time
with
for
my
bye.
grumpy bear, and I'll let you go as well. We've got more podcasts coming up on Father Tracks Radio every week. More Start Your Engines. Sandcrawler,
Yeah.
is it Sandcrawler that's out just now?
Sandcrawler mini episode that was recorded while we were at Farthest From. That's available now. That's a fun little listen. And then we've recently recorded one based on the vehicles from Shadows of the Empire as well. So that'll be coming out soon.
Fantastic. Keep your eyes on fathertracks.com for all your daily Star Wars news and Father Tracks across social media. It still says on the graphics Twitter, but you can call it X if you want. We haven't updated the graphics to make sure that Elon Musk hasn't changed his mind. It's erratic.
Have I got to update the banner? Do I
You
need
can
to
update, you can
change
update all our banners and advertising. We're going to hold out for as long as we can. Keep calling it Twitter. But yeah, go to your social media at FanthaTracks, YouTube at FanthaTracks TV. You'll find us everywhere, Twitch, everything. So keep your eyes peeled. Watch out for more content, more news. We'll be covering it all. Looking forward to the Ahsoka launch. I'll be back next Sunday evening, and Paul McHugh will be joining me to discuss everything Star Wars that comes up in the news this coming week. And look out for new shows coming very soon to Father Tracks TV as well. We've got lots of content on the horizon coming your direction. And Paul, thank you for joining me tonight and discussing
Cheers,
everything
Brian.
Star Wars.
Always a pleasure. See you again soon.
See you.
Bye.
Keep up to date with the latest Star Wars news each and every day on FanthaTracks.com. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, and Pinterest at FanthaTracks. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow FanthaTracks TV to be alerted to new content and to be a part of our live shows.